I did not get the chance to approve that picture. Hi, I'm Trent. Thank you all so much for being here. I got picked for this one, but there were a bunch of other choices, so when this is done, I do encourage you all to speak to the other grandkids and kids of my generation, especially Colin, Griffin, Amber, Jacob, and Alex. Sorry, I flipped those, a little nervous. I want to talk about the things I learned from my grandpa. And I apologize, I'm going to go a little slow because I'm going to lose my voice several times as we do this. First off, I want to talk about, well, we have a saying in my family. Grandpa didn't coin it, but it was heavily inspired by him, which was, do whatever you want, whenever you want. Grandpa did whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. And that's just something you pick up. You spend a lot of time around him. As a role model, you see him. Oh, let's stop and see this garage sale. He picks something up just because he likes it. Or around the house, he had his chocolate milks and his ice creams and all of these things just because he wanted to have them. He had this unending search for joy in life that just you do not see elsewhere. And as a kid, I certainly took advantage of that. There were, good 4 or 5 freezers. You walk around and check and find which one has the fudge bar in it. And there was just so much of this. And as a kid growing up around there, he would encourage us to explore and to express ourselves. When you were, being watched by Grandpa, which, Sandy was probably taking a little bit more care of us, but you're being watched by Grandpa, that meant that you could do whatever you want, whenever you want. And as a kid, when I have that, it usually means I want to watch TV. But at Grandpa's, there was so much to discover. There was so much to see. It always was changing. And he had this technique for encouraging you. For every loose screw you found, crawling under a tractor wheel or climbing on top of an aircraft wing, for every loose screw you found, you would get a nickel. And at the end of the day, Grandpa was going to take everybody to the dollar store. And they could spend all of the dollars that they found, or all the dollars they got finding those screws and those bolts. And you know what? That worked. We weren't watching TV. We weren't playing our games. We were out there. We were learning about all of his pieces. We were digging in to find these things. And there's just, you learn a lot in that kind of environment. Now, there is a lot in myself today that I definitely put towards those days. I think that today I buy art much more quickly than I put it up on my walls. And I know, maybe not entirely directly through Lonnie, but it's all Lonnie's fault. Grandpa also taught me about curiosity. Grandpa was a highly educated man. He had 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and a doctorate. I can very proudly say that I have 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 master's degrees, and I am working on my doctorate today. But For Grandpa, that didn't stop at school. He did so much to invest in the university system here in Nevada through his work as a regent and as a booster. I think we're going to hear a little bit more about that later. But Grandpa wanted educational access for all, and he had this curiosity for himself that was unending. He would read anything. His office, we would walk in and see these collections of newspaper clippings that he's found this connection between the events here in Reno and the events here in Las Vegas, and he's got some idea why these go together. He would collect all of these books, and today I think my science fiction collection is pretty good. That started with Lonnie. He still beats me on Edgar Rice Burroughs and Jules Verne, but I'm a little broader than him these days. But it wasn't just those. Lonnie collected books on everything. And anything I had interest in, he would encourage, he would say, yes, take that home. So I'm not certain, but I don't think that Grandpa believed in either Bigfoot or Nostradamus, but he let me take his 2 books on those so that I could, decide for myself. Now, the last lesson that I learned from Grandpa I want to talk about. That is the virtue of pride. Now that might sound a little bit wrong. People usually put that in the other bin. Grandpa had so much pride in himself, maybe too much, but he would not have done all the things he did if he did not believe, if he was not certain. There were steps he took that were controversial. There were moments where, he was a little bit too sure and he went right for something. But in the end, there was so much more accomplished because of this man's confidence and pride in himself. He's been quoted as saying a lot of things, but one of them that sticks with me is saying, I am special. Now, when I came onto the scene, and the other folks I mentioned started to be around more, Grandpa realized that we were special too. You can see in that picture there. And I've been hearing it so much the last couple months. How proud Grandpa Lonnie was of me, of all of us. The last story I want to tell is Grandpa had a campaign publicity stunt. He had a lot of these. He had one where he had a museum trip planned with his friend and second man on the moon, Buzz Aldrin, to go visit the Atomic Testing Museum. And it was Grandpa, Buzz Aldrin, the media, and me. And I'm just following around wide-eyed watching this. And that was special, but the moment that really sealed it was when it all ended. The media had left. It was Grandpa, it was Buzz, it was Sandy, it was Buzz Aldrin's family, and it was me. On this trip, what the Grandpa wanted to show off was his grandson. He wanted to show not his elephant, not his parade floats. He wanted to show Buzz and his family. me. I hope that I can have 2/3 of his pride in myself as he had in me. I want to thank all of you so much for being here to remember him with all of us. And Grandpa, I miss you so much. Thank you all.